Welcome back to my very first Pokémon Nuzlocke experience. This is it. This is the last episode. Every battle, every loss, every close call has led to this moment. There's no turning back. It's time to finish what we started. There are no second chances. It starts right now. At the end. At Sky Pillar. After a long sea voyage and a little bit of help from Wallace, our search for Rayquaza finally comes closer to an end when we finally make it to Sky Pillar. Wallace tells us that he's gotta go back to Sootopolis and he's gonna send us on the mission. A 10-year-old child with the fate of the world in their hands. So, we head on up Sky Pillar, and after a couple floors, we finally make it to the tip top, and we finally run in to the green flying snake. Alright, the green poop. We tell Rayquaza we need him, and he responds. And he's off. See ya. After Rayquaza breaks up the fight, I decide I need to do a little bit more training before we get into the next gym. And I would really like to get my Primate to evolve into an Annihilate. And to do that, we need to use Raging Fists 20 times. So we've been just farming the Magikarp in this lake, and then we ran into this Gyarados. I'm just gonna keep punching him. I'm not. Oh, does this knock me out of battle?
My life be like.
Well, that's the end of that training. I guess it's time to just go ahead and get into the next gym. This was actually my favorite gym as a kid because this ice puzzle is by far the easiest ice puzzle I've ever had to do. So we didn't have to fight one trainer, and it was time to go straight to the gym leader, and it's time to claim our next badge. Juan leads with his Starmie, and I knew this was going to be a problem only for one reason. Starmie is extremely fast, so we hit it with a bunch of mud shots to lower its speed, and hopefully Noodle can outspeed and outmuscle this Starmie, because Starmie could become a glass cannon. However, we don't let that happen. Noodle crushes it with a body slam, and it's time for the next Pokemon, an Octillery. So we switch into our Raichu, and we're thinking, oh, Octillery is a physical attacker, let's lower the speed and use a Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt does exactly what we want it to do, doing crazy damage and getting a paralysis. So we make quick work of the Octillery. Next, he brings in the Whiscash, being part ground type, giving it an immunity over the electric type move Thunderbolt. So we switch into Knight Rider and we get off a Swords Dance, getting us just a little bit stronger. Hopefully we can start one-shotting these Pokemon. We get a very lucky crit due to the effect of his ability, Super Luck. He then switches into his Kingdra, who I deem to be the worst Pokemon of this gym. Luckily, Knight Rider makes very quick work of this Kingdra with another crit, which then he brings in his Celio, his last Pokemon. We use Sacred Sword, getting a super effective move, finishing out this gym. No losses outside of, you know, the one before the gym. That was big. Noise. With the last gym badge in hand, it is time to make our way to Victory Road, and after a long sea voyage and climbing a waterfall, it's time to go on the last leg of this journey. Victory Road is a daunting beast, and to make things worse, I accidentally forgot that I had to fight Wally at the beginning of Victory Road. I was supposed to battle him at the end of the cave, not the front. Regardless to when I had to battle him, I had to battle him anyway. So, here we go. We lead with Noodle, and luckily he does have the coverage to take on this Altaria, but she starts setting up.
No.
Luckily, our MVP Baked Bean comes in and smacks the Altaria out of the sky, and then we rely on Knight Rider to take on the Gardevoir. We get one crit We think, oh, this is in the bag, a full restore, another Night Slash, another crit, another full restore, one more Night Slash, doesn't get the job done. We hit it again, and the Gardevoir is down. Next, it's time for him to bring in his Roserade. We switch into Luca. We're thinking, oh wow, we have a counter for every Pokemon that he has right now. This is great. So, next is Delcatty. And we think we should bring in Muffin, because Muffin's got this, right? What I didn't know is this was going to be one of the most irritating battles this entire run. It just keeps spamming Sing and just hitting me with assist, getting a slew of moves, and eventually we get pretty frustrated and we figure it's time to probably switch out because Muffin's taking some pretty big damage, hit after hit after hit, and we don't want to lose Muffin right before we get to the Elite Four. Who do we send in? Baked Bean. Baked Bean hits it with an Earthquake, doing big damage.
Why don't you just f***ing die already?
An Ice Shard finishes it off, and we have finally got that damn cat down. Last one, Magnezone. Luca comes in with a Flamethrower. It has Sturdy, unfortunately, but one more Flamethrower will do the trick, and that's it. Wally has been defeated for the last time. We then quickly make our way through Victory Road. Oh my god, that's it. And it's finally time to reach the Elite Four, the last leg of this challenge. If you ever want to catch me playing these games live, I stream on Tuesdays and Fridays 7 to 10, and on Sundays 4 to 10. I stream here on YouTube and on Twitch. So please like and subscribe to this video, or follow me over on Twitch, or both. Thanks, and back to the video. Guys, I'm so nervous. Alright, let's do it. After buying as many Hyper Potions as we could, it was time to take on the Elite Four. And first is Sydney, who leads with a Mightyena, to which we start with Muffin. Sydney is a Dark Specialist, so we think Muffin gives us the best chance. However, what we didn't realize is that he also had a Honchkrow. So we quickly switched into Baked Bean. We figured that this gives us the best chance at getting through this Honchkrow with a quick Glacial Lance. And it does. It one-shots the Honchkrow, and it's on to the Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt is a dark water type, so we figure Muffin gives us the best chance, and we can get the Intimidate, dropping the attack. One quick Drain Punch knocks him out very quickly. So then he brings out his Absol. We keep in Muffin because we have the advantage, and one Drain Punch does it again. We are really on top of it right now. Last Pokemon he brings in is a Cacturn. So we switch into Luca. We think one Flamethrower should get this taken care of, and lo and behold, we were correct. And that is the first member of the Elite Four taken down. Next, it's time to go on to the second, and that is Phoebe, the Ghost type specialist. So this time, we decide to lead with our good buddy, Knight Rider. Knight Rider is a great Pokemon. It gives us the type advantage, and it is extremely strong, especially with having the ability Super Luck. So, we unfortunately got confused, but we did knock out the first Dusclops. Next was the Mismagius, and I didn't think about it being a fairy type, and we lost Knight Rider already at the second Pokemon. A little confused, we go into Noodle, hoping that he can easily knock out the Mismagius, and it seems like we're in a good place to do so, but he was taking big damage. We did get the knockout, but it was time to switch out because she is switching into Frostlass, so we switch into Luca. Luca, using his trusty Flamethrower, gets the knockout on the Frostlass, and it is time to go into the ace Pokemon, Dusknoir. We have Crunch, but it is not enough. He hits us with a strong Earthquake. We almost lose Luca, so we switch into Muffin to get the Intimidate, and that's all we really needed to finish up this member of the Elite Four. We have one Pokemon left to fight, but it's just a Banette, and I'm not too afraid of a Banette. So we use Rage Fist. It doesn't work because it's part normal type in this game, and I didn't realize that. So that's mistake number 2 of this fight. So we quickly look through some stats and we decide Aspen is probably the best mon we can go with. So we go with the best move that Aspen knows, and that's Discharge. We get a crit, it's not enough, but we get it paralyzed, and one more Discharge finishes it off. We are beaten and battered at the end of this, but we made it. However, unfortunately, we are down Knight Rider, so we are down one mon for the rest of the Elite Four. So next, we go into our next fight, Glacia, the Ice Specialist. Glacia leads with a Dugong, so we decide to start with Aspen. We use the move Cotton Guard to raise our defense, and after that we decide we can probably just use Discharge to get through this, but Dugong is way tankier than I thought, and we did not take it down with 1 or even 2 hits. Aspen starts taking a lot of damage quickly. Luckily, we did get a paralysis. For some reason, they didn't use a full restore, so we took out the very first Pokemon, and it was time for the next, a Walrein. Walrein could be tricky, but I think we have it in the bag. We used a Discharge after they used an Ice Beam on us. Luckily, we got another paralysis, giving us the knockout on the Walrein. With an unnecessary crit, we are happy that the Walrein has been taken down. Next, they're going into Cloyster. Cloyster is an extremely defensive Pokemon with a high HP stat, so at this point we figure our best move is to just keep spamming Discharge. We luckily got that knockout as well, and now it's on to her ace, Glaceon. And we try to decide what's the best move here, and we decide it's Luca. Luca could easily just use a flamethrower, right? That should be all we need to take this mon out. So, that's exactly what we do. And we did not finish it off. It had Chilling Water, which was very annoying, lowered our attack stat. She used her full restore. We go for another flamethrower. We didn't finish it again. We go for a extreme speed thinking we could get it done. That didn't work. We went another flamethrower, and the Glaceon has fallen. Now on to the last Pokemon of her team, and that would be Glalie. We figure we could probably just go ahead and leave Luca in here, but we don't want to risk an unnecessary loss, so we switch into Muffin, getting the Intimidate, and it's time to start using Drain Punch. There is no way this thing can survive being Drain Punched by Muffin. In the end, and that was it. That's all we needed to do to take out the third member of the Elite Four. And just like that, we're on to the last member of the Elite Four, Drake.
How do you feel about Drake?
Don't like him.
At all?
No.
I don't like Drake. I think he's an actor. He's not a real rapper.
Drake will definitely be one of our hardest fights yet in this game. He starts with the Kingdra, which we already discussed is extremely difficult, but Muffin in this game is a fairy type, so we can use Play Rough, the only weakness that we could find for Kingdra. So next he brings out an Altaria, to which we just go ahead and go Baked Bean because we've already dealt with an Altaria and know Baked Bean can deal with it. Next is his ace, Salamence. This is definitely going to be a problem, but the quad weakness to ice definitely gives us the advantage. He goes for a flamethrower, which would be scary, but we had an Occa Berry that weakened the flamethrower, so we survived it. Next, he brings out a Steelix. We switch to Noodle and get ready to hit with a Liquidation. This should be a pretty even fight, and honestly it wasn't. It was one-sided. Noodle crushed that Steelix. Last Pokemon was a Flygon, another scary foe. And for that, we decide Noodle's probably got this. An Ice Beam, another quad effective move, should be able to do it, and it was. And just like that, Drake has been defeated.
I'm upset.
50,000 on my head is disrespect.
With Drake defeated, that means one last trainer stands in our way of being the champion. We take a second to reflect on our journey and the Pokemon that we've lost along the way, and we've made it a long way. The whole way from Little Root Town to defeating our father, stopping a worldwide cataclysmic event, hiring the Sky Serpent. It's been a long journey, and we asked Aspen how she felt, and she was focused with a sharp gaze. It's time. Let's take on Wallace. Without further ado, we're down one Pokemon. Wallace is a water specialist, so it only makes sense to lead with Aspen. Alright, we taught Aspen a new move before we came in. We taught him Light Screen because the majority of these water Pokemon are special attackers. So this will help us tremendously if we can get this done quickly. For round 2, we went with Discharge and we got the knockout on the Whale Lord. Next up, a Gyarados. For this, I decide to switch into Luca for one reason and one reason only. We want to get the Intimidate off. Obviously, it's going to use a water move on us, we think, so then we switch into Muffin to get a second Intimidate off. It uses Dragon Dance, so that doesn't really help. So we then decide to go ahead and use a Play Rough to see exactly how much damage we can get done before this fully sets up with a bunch of Dragon Dances. It's already faster than us, but is it stronger than us? We'll never find out because it switches into Tentacruel. Tentacruel is a poison type, making our move somewhat not effective. So we switch into Baked Bean, who is holding a Lumberry, to get rid of the Toxic. We Earthquake, and we knock out the Tentacruel. Next up, he brings out his Ludicolo. And honestly, we already have the perfect Pokemon out, so we go with Glacial Lance, thinking this would knock it out, but unfortunately it did not. It got us within a sliver, but with a second Glacial Lance, that was it. Next is the Milotic. For that, we decide to go into Noodle because the Milotic is actually trying to stall us out with Toxic. But we were prepared. We had a P.E.K.K.A Berry, so we use Earthquake and get a pretty good amount of damage. It uses Recover, we use Body Slam, we get the Paralysis, which is exactly what we needed. Now, it's time to make a decision. Should we keep using Body Slam or should we go with some Earthquakes? I think Body Slam is definitely the best move, but it takes a little bit of time, so we decide to switch it up to Earthquake, and we get the knockout. Next, the Gyarados is coming back. So we do the exact same strat. We bring out Luca to get the Intimidate. We switch into Muffin to get another Intimidate. Most likely it's going to use a Dragon Dance. It does. We use Play Rough, and we knock it out. That's all it took. Last Pokemon is a Wish Cache. We decide to get the Intimidate again and keep doing it so we can wither this thing's attack stat down and not have to deal with it. We use a Play Rough knowing that we can now sack Muffin because this is the last fight in the game. That third Surf is really strong, and I honestly don't know if it is a physical or a special attack. I'm kind of thinking it might be... Hey, that's okay. Muffin is going to be in the Hall of Fame, regardless. Whoever died is in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the question is, do we go for Crunch here, or do we go for Extreme Speed? I think we outspeed regardless. And this is definitely a stronger move. Okay. Surf. Might hurt big. Did hurt big. This should kill. We lowered the defense. And that is game, ladies and gentlemen. We have completed the soft Nuzlocke of Pokemon Sea Glass. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, the game was over. We are now the official champions of the Hoenn region in Pokemon Emerald Sea Glass. We register our party to the Hall of Fame, and we call it a day. That's it. That is the end of my very first Pokemon Nuzlocke. Throughout this journey, I don't know if you've noticed, but I had a major change. I grew a lot during this journey. I looked at Pokemon differently. It was interesting. I'm very happy with how everything went. I'm happy to be the victor. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here for every moment. The highs and the lows. And victory at the end. Until next time, I'm Spaceman.